Hey there, I'm MamaLisa, and I've been blessed to meet amazing people along my life's journey. People with diverse careers, interests, and a passion for improving the world through acts of service and kindness. I'm an educator, a mother, wife, and friend to all. Early exposure to careers and training can change the world and end poverty as we know it. So what are you waiting for? Let's sit down, chat, and learn about careers together as we work to change the world. I'm MamaLisa. I know cool people, and I'm bringing them to you. And welcome to Career Talks with MamaLisa. Enjoy.
I'm going to kick this off, Miss Donna Williams. Donna Williams, I will allow you to introduce yourself and kind of tell them, and just to let you guys know, everybody in here has a diverse background. So at some point, healthcare. Stay tuned, and we'll begin with you, ma'am.
Okay. Well, hello, good evening, everyone. I am Donna Williams. I am actually working right now for a healthcare organization in South Carolina. So I've been doing that for about 7 years as the marketing director in managed care. Been in managed care for over 12 years. Yes, over 12 years. And prior to that, I was in the dental industry. I was a business office manager in a dental clinic. And prior to that, at Memorial Health in a level 1 trauma hospital unit there as their Backus Children's Hospital coordinator. In addition to that, I actually have my own consulting business now for about 3 or 4 years, doing that organizational development, brand management, speaking engagements, and a few other things along with Myers-Briggs assessment, because I'm a certified practitioner there. So excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. You guys probably see in the back of me my sign, because I do have a nonprofit as well. It's the philanthropic arm of the consulting business. So S2S does a lot of things in the community. It's for ladies and build around 4 pillars. And those pillars are empowering, bridging the gap through diversity, as well as inspiring friendship and community engagement. And we actually have a session tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have a chance to tell you more about that. And that's Donna Williams.
Nice. Time, we are going to turn things over to Miss Felicia Sanders. She is a registered nurse, and she will let you guys know about her background and her history in healthcare.
Good evening, guys. How's everyone?
Hello.
Hi. My name is Felicia Sanders. I am a registered nurse. I am a dialysis nurse. So I work with people who have kidney failure. When their kidneys don't work anymore, they have to depend on dialysis to live. So I've been a dialysis nurse for 23 years. I have not always been a registered nurse. I was at one point an LPN. And before I became an LPN, I was a patient care technician. So only in this last year, I became a registered nurse. So I started out at Georgia Southern in 1993. I went there with high hopes of becoming an RN. Did not know a whole lot because nobody in my family really ever went to college. So I kind of had to go kind of blind. We didn't have the best counselors at our school, which I'm sure that has changed now. So when I got to Georgia Southern, I got there with intention of knowing that if I went to college, I would just become a nurse. But when I got there, I had, financial issues, with going to college and everything. And so I had to work. So when I started working, it took away from your studies. So what happened was I basically had a high seat average because I was just getting by. I was working and also just getting by. But no one ever told me that when you go to college, a lot of your healthcare fields are what they call competitive. And when they say competitive, that means they take the best of the best students with the highest averages, with the highest GPAs. So when I applied to Georgia Southern, their minimum requirement for a GPA was a 2.5. I only had a 2.8 grade point average. So when I applied to Georgia Southern, I was already a CNA. I was already working at a local nursing home at nighttime. So I thought that I was a shoe-in. You know, I'm already working in the medical field, but I did not get into their program. I took every prerequisite that they had required, which is your college Englishes, your college sciences, your college math, which is college algebra, you know, and I just thought, okay, after you finish that, you can go ahead and go into nursing. But they have to choose you, and they choose the students with the best GPAs. Also, the students that write the best essays to get in. Well, I thought I was a shoe-in, but I did not get in. So, which left me in a dilemma. What do? I had nothing else to take before except for nursing courses. So what happened was my advisor told me that I would not get into their RN program. I would not get into an RN program at Georgia Southern. So she told me to change my major to community health so that I would not lose my credits, but I would basically not get in. So what happened to me at Georgia Southern was I started picking up a minor, trying to stay in college. So I started taking psychology. So I was working on a minor in psychology. And then I got the bright idea that, okay, I don't want to be in community health, and I'm just marking time. That's all I was doing for 3 to 4 years, marking time. So what I did was I dropped down to the technical college level, and I went to LPN school. I became an LPN within 11 months. I graduated second in my class, but I continued working in dialysis. I hope I'm not being confusing to a lot of you, but I continued to work in dialysis, and I just went back to school just here and there, but finally, thank God, in 2019, after applying to so many schools to get into what they call a bridge program. And what a bridge program is in college is you bridge from an LPN to an RN in a matter of a couple of semesters. So after finally getting into one of those programs, they were very competitive. And to be honest, there was not a lot of schools that allowed a lot of Black nurses into the program. Here, we have a big problem here down south with, race. If I would have known earlier on in my college career, I probably would have went to a HBCU starting off, because your chances are getting into a competitive program or getting into the major, your chances are a little bit better. So finally, I got accepted into Albany State's bridge program, and I bridged within 4 semesters from LPN to RN. And today I am in a pretty good high position with the company called DaVita. I am a nurse educator now, and I educate patients about their treatment options in dialysis, and I teach them home therapy to do their dialysis at home. And I hope I didn't rabble on too much, but.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Dr. Diann Bennett-Magwood. I am a medical doctor of internal medicine and pediatrics with years of practice. Currently, I am teaching health science to high school students to try to help them have a person that I never had with a medical degree.
Yes.
So everyone thinks that you have to be the smartest person in the world to be a doctor. That's not true. You have to be motivated. You got to work hard. It's no joke. The process is long, and it's a lot of school.
Yes.
I went to college at Hampton University. I am born and raised in Las Vegas. Born and raised. Yes, I got on a plane, flew to Hampton University, didn't know anybody. And I had a bachelor's of arts in biology. I always liked biology, never liked chemistry, never liked any of that stuff, but had to do all of that to become a doctor. I was fortunate enough to be accepted into medical school at Meharry Medical College in Nashville, Tennessee, another HBCU. And at that time, that was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was medical school. After medical school, so I spent 4 years at Hampton, 4 years at Meharry. I did my residency in Detroit, in the hood of Detroit, in internal medicine and pediatrics. And I say that because even my own family were like, "You're going where?" I was like, "I gotta go to Detroit. This is where I'm gonna learn." So it was the hood, but you see a lot of things and you learn, and those are the things you remember that are different than reading it out of a book. So I spent 4 years doing a combined residency in internal medicine, which are doctors for adults, and pediatrics, which are for kids. I did a six years of residency in 4 years. I was asked to stay for an extra year as the chief resident. So I did that, and I was teaching students and other residents, as well as taking care of my own patients while I was doing that. From there, I received my first job in a small town in Illinois, where I was doing very traditional medicine. I had to get out of my bed at night to go to C-sections, to go to abnormal deliveries of babies. The patients got admitted to the hospital. I had to get out of my bed and do regular call every I wasn't doing it like residency every 4 days, but I was doing a lot of call. I was there for 6 years. Didn't like it totally too much. I think it was more the place more than anything. I came to Georgia and kind of decided I didn't want to do that anymore, any more medical stuff. So I took a job working, teaching medical assistants at a school in Atlanta. And then I got married and ended up in Savannah, and now I'm at Woodville Tompkins. I also was a medical consultant for Social Security Disability for 7 years, something like that, which I was doing when I started teaching. So that's where I am. That's my long road. My students always want to figure out how many years it took me. I have them counted up, but it flew by, because every step that I took, I said medical school was the hardest thing that I ever had to do till I got to residency. That was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life, was doing that. And it was so terrible that they put so many restrictions now. The residents don't work like we did. Mm-hmm. They don't. I almost wrecked my car the first night. I was on call the first day, and I didn't go to sleep. And I almost wrecked my car trying to go home because I didn't get any sleep. So those are the kind of things they've stopped residents from doing. They have to go home. They have to go to sleep. They have certain hours they have to do. And I think that's all I want to say, unless anybody wants me to say something else.
Move over to Bonnie Hardamon.
Okay. I'm Bonnie Hardamon. I'm MamaLisa's mama. I'm RN. Hi. I'm RN, retired. Well, semi-retired, because I do go back to work periodically when I feel like I want to. But I've been an RN since 1987. Previous to that, I started out as a CNA at 16 years old, and decided, even though I was good at it, I decided that's not what I really wanted to do. And after high school, my dad said, "You're gonna be an RN, or you're gonna get out of my house." So I was ready to get out of his house. But I went off to RN school. I only stayed there a semester and got up enough nerves that I'm gonna get out of his house. So I went into the military. Well, when I went into the military during the Vietnam era, and they had opened at that time for female was a medic. So I guess I was kind of predestined.
Yeah.
But I was a medic in the U.S. Army, and I served at a hospital in Korea on a med-surg unit. I saw a lot of different things there. And as a medic, you pretty much operate as a licensed nurse. You do all the things that a licensed nurse would do, but you could not do that in civilian life. When transition out of the military as a medic, you're automatically a CNA. Even though you know more than the average CNA and probably more than the average nurse, because we had to work. I was also assigned to a field unit, and a field unit usually goes out to, and we have to know how to do surgical procedures and different as a medic. We have to learn how to do IVs. There was a lot of medical training. So after leaving the military, I tried the police force for a little while, but that wasn't me. I ended up going back I ended up going to nursing school. I went to LPN school first because at that point I was getting a divorce and I needed to earn money in a hurry. So it was a year program, and I found that all there was additional training that I had gotten other than the training that I'd gotten in the military, and a lot of that was theory and a lot of anatomy and physiology. So the LPN I went to LPN program in Connecticut, and they pretty much taught us how to diagnose and second guess the doctor. We found out later that they overtrained us because while I was in school, the state did an investigation because we started out with like 150 students, but we only graduated 35, and they wanted to know what the reasoning was. We had some rambunctious instructors who decided they were trying to make semi-doctors out of us, and they were overtraining us. That's why people weren't making it. But I thank God for them, because after I finished LPN school, I went to work in ICU and neurosurgery. I got to work with Dr. Scoville, who's considered the father of neurosurgery. But my duties consisted of spending 6 months on the surgical unit and 6 months in ICU. But I ended up spending like a whole year in ICU. And that was depressing because I saw people dying all the time, car accidents, motorcycle accidents, all ages. And it kind of depressed me because I was tired of being around death. So I went to work in geriatrics. And at that point, I decided that I need to get an RN because they were talking about phasing out LPNs. And they still talk about it. It's not happening here in the South, but it is happening up north. Yeah, an LPN can't go up north and get a job in any hospital. You have to go nursing home or some other. But anyways, I went back to RN school, and during the time I was in RN school, at that point I was a single mother because I'd become divorced. I had one child, but I ended up inheriting 4 nieces and nephews, so I had a total of 5 kids. Wow. I was blessed in the sense that as a nurse, nurses were very needed back then, LPNs and RNs. And I was able to work double shifts on the weekend, have Monday through Friday off to take care of all my household duties and make enough money to support all of us very comfortably.
Oh, wow.
And after I got out of RN school, I decided to go work in the hospitals. Nursing homes had always been my thing to do. I love working with the elderly, but I knew as a new graduate, whether it was LPN or RN, that I needed hospital experience so that I could be a well-rounded nurse. And I went to work in the ER right after school. And then I worked medical floor, and then I worked surgical floor. And when I felt like I was well-rounded enough, I went back to working in the nursing home. And I did that for most of my career. And I guess it was maybe 2005, I ended up having cardiac surgery. And nursing home work is very hard, and you have to love old people in order to do it, because other than that, you will not do it because it's just too hard. Well, anyways, after I had my heart surgery, I was working in a hospital at the time that I had my surgery. I'd gone back to hospital work. After I had the heart surgery, it was too strenuous. So I was looking for something different. And I tried nursing home for maybe a month, and I'm like, no, if I continue this, I'm going to be in a nursing home, or I'm going to be 6 feet under, because this is hard work for me now. So I, because like I said, once you go work in a hospital, you get well-rounded, because even though you might sign up to work in the emergency room, you might have to go to the medical surgical floor when they're short. You might have to go to different units. I had been to practically every unit you could think about. So I had never tried psych, but I knew that psych was a lot easier than nursing home and hospital work. So I did psych work until I retired. It was a little less money. It was a state job. There were benefits, but it was a little less money, a whole lot less strenuous. But like I said, if you work hospital, you're gonna be well-rounded, because you're not gonna just work in where you signed up for. You're gonna be all over that hospital. But anyways, that's where I am now. I retired, but every now and then I want a little extra money, and I can go back and get a little extra money. And I just want to correct Felicia. And she said that you have a lot of problems with racism and nursing in the South. I'm here to tell you, I went to school in the North, with nursing school in the North, completed all my training there, and they're just bad up there, Felicia. If not worse. At least down here, you know where you stand. But up there, they're kind of sneaky. They try to be sneaky about it. But I don't think they too much care about Black girls being in nursing. Even though we're hard working and we're very intelligent, I don't think they like us in nursing, because it's a good thing.
Physical therapist, Miss Rhonda Houston.
Hello.
Rhonda.
Hey.
Hi. I am excited to be on the call to convince you to be a physical therapist. If you, like I did when I was in high school, and this is the time when you really want to make that decision. I decided that I did not want to be a nurse, and I did not think I had the money or the time or the knowledge to be a doctor. So I want to convince you to not have low self-esteem or lack any confidence, because once I went to physical therapy school, that too, as Dr. Magwood said, was the hardest thing that I could have ever, I think, chosen. And I should have gone on to medical school, because it was very challenging, very, very challenging. It is very competitive. And when I graduated in 1981, I was able to get a BS degree in physical therapy. Now the curriculum is DPT, or a doctorate in physical therapy. And it is a 3+3 program, or you get a bachelor's degree and then go to physical therapy school for another 3 years. So a physical therapist is a licensed professional in each state who has the primary focus on working with patients who have different musculoskeletal problems, neurological problems, and we work with rehabilitating them and training them to improve their function based on the disabilities that they have. I enjoy the profession because there are so many different areas that you can work in. You can specialize in working with children in pediatrics, or in geriatrics, as Lisa's mother has, and that's currently what I've been doing. And I now am in home health. I probably have been doing home health physical therapy for about 20 years. Also worked in the skilled nursing facilities. I started out in acute care in the hospital. I managed an outpatient clinic for a short period of time and supervised therapists as a director in nursing homes and outpatient clinics. And Also did my own business and contract with nurses at home health agencies and nursing homes. You can also specialize in sports medicine. A lot of young people like athletics. So if you want to work as a sports physical therapist, you can work for any of the athletic teams or on the college or professional level. You can work in the school system with children who have disabilities. You can specialize in cardiac, pulmonary, women's health. It has a lot of different opportunities in the areas that you can work. So that is a good thing. You can also teach on the collegiate level. And if you're not interested in going to school for 7 years or 8, you can be a physical therapist assistant. And a physical therapist assistant is similar to an LPN. It is a 2-year curriculum, and the physical therapist assistant carries out the program that a physical therapist sets up. We do the evaluations and the treatment programs, and then the physical therapist assistant can carry that out. So at Georgia State, when I went there in 81, it was a bachelor's degree. Now it's a doctoral degree. I am close to retirement, and I'm looking forward to that. But as long as I have my license, just as Ms. Hardamon said, I can always go back and work anytime, anywhere that I would like. You know, anyone that wants someone PRN, because once you retire, that's it. I'm giving it up. I don't really want to work anywhere full time. But one of the things that the other participants didn't say is that healthcare careers are open and they pay good money. You know, if you want to work hard, you have to be committed. And I think there's another physical therapist that's going to be on the call, but any of these healthcare careers requires commitment to the health and the sciences. So if you have that interest, I would expand on that. If you're interested in any of these professions, especially physical therapy, you need to shadow someone or volunteer at a hospital or a nursing home so that you can get that experience and see what the profession is actually all about and get that exposure and knowledge and have access to the professionals. And then you can determine if this is something that you really like or not. Anything else, Madam Lisa? My story is a long one too, but I'll give other PT a call. And as a minority, as a Black woman, the profession is open to you, but you gotta be ready. You gotta have a high GPA. We need to treat our people.
Yes.
We can work with our people. That was one of my motivating factors coming from a very small town. I didn't even know what a physical therapist looked like. I had no experience with one. Only got to know one when I left home to go to college, and went to the hospital and asked if I could work there. I started in high school looking in the occupational handbook, not wanting to be a nurse, not wanting to be a doctor, scrolled through and looked, and that's what I found. It is doing that, and I saw it through.
All right, thank you so much. If you guys have questions, please type those into the chat. Mr. Campbell is manning the chat room, and on table we're gonna move into question mode. The next person we have up is a healthcare scientist.
Did you say my name?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I wanted to make sure it kind of cut out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I know quite a few on the call. My name is Kimberly Richardson. I am a licensed massage therapist in the state of Georgia, and I am currently a healthcare science teacher at Beach High School. So similar to Dr. Magwood, I teach students how awesome healthcare is. And the route that I took to get to where I am is very roundabout, and I have a very diverse background, and everyone looks at me like, oh, you're 30 and you've done all that? And I'm like, yes. So I started out in high school doing healthcare classes like the ones that I teach, and was super excited. And I was like, no one could tell me I wasn't going to go be a nurse. And then I realized I didn't like poop. And so I was like, I'm not doing that. And so I went to school and was like, I want to do sonography. And so like Miss Felicia said, I went to school and I was like, I'm going to do all these clubs and it's going to be great. And then when it came time to apply for the program, I didn't have all A's, and there were only 10 slots for the program. And so they were like, thanks, but no thanks. And I was like, wow, now what am I going to do? So I graduated from Armstrong in 2012 with a Bachelor's of Health Science in Public and Community Health. So I was able to kind of take all my credits and move that way. After that, I snagged a job as a care manager, so managing care. So I had, CNAs that went into homes to help patients, and I made sure their medicines were where they needed to be and things like that for those that were underprivileged. And from there, I moved into, I wanted to be a massage therapist. And I was like, I want to do that. So I went to massage therapy school for a year. You get a certificate, and then you sit for a test, and you become licensed by the state. And after that, I worked at a massage MD for about 3 years in various aspects. And then I got injured. They don't tell you very much that massage therapy is a short-lived profession in a sense, because you can get injured very easily. So I took that and kind of decided, I was like, well, what do I do now? So I went and actually managed 6 physical therapy clinics in Savannah, and used my talents to be the executive assistant there. And then to kind of speed up my process, I then decided I wanted to get my master's and all that other fun stuff, and then kind of fell into the job at Beach where I teach healthcare sciences. So my story is really long because I kind of went a roundabout way, and I always tell my students that it's okay to change your mind. You don't have to be stuck in just one thing. I realized when I was doing certain things, I was like, I don't really like this. I was like, this is not the aspect of healthcare that I enjoy doing. And people always think, oh, you have to be happy all the time in your job. You're never going to be happy every single day. But you have to make sure your bills are paid. And healthcare, like Ms. Housen said, is definitely a profession that will keep you stable. It's got very good job security because you're always going to need someone to take care of you in some kind of aspect. As a massage therapist, I'm able to use my background to teach so many things to my students, and just from diversity, dealing with different patients, from babies that we've massaged all the way up until, I massaged someone who was 100 years old. You could just do so many things. A lot of my massage therapy classmates actually went on to become physical therapists because of their knowledge of the body. And a massage therapist, if y'all don't know, is not a masseuse, but they are someone who does the manual manipulation of muscles. So pretty much we are knowledgeable about all the muscles, all the bones, all the nerves and everything like that to be able to make someone get better. And it's one of the coolest things that you can do is just be there for someone. And now I get the opportunity to take all of my knowledge and everything that I've been through and channel that into my classes. So a lot of my classes that I get to do with my kids is we spent an entire day coloring. Because we were learning about stress and different ways that they could, do stress. And, I was like, if you like coloring, you can color. I was like, we did meditation, we've done yoga. So there's just so many ways that you have to pour back into yourself to then be able to continue to pour out into other people. So it's cool that I get to kind of teach my kids, yes, you can help people, and that is amazing. But you also have to make sure that you take care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't light a candle that doesn't have any more wax. So a lot of my background from learning that and burning my candle at both ends taught me that. And so all of my different areas, I'm able to kind of meld together to show them, the diversity, and that, you can be successful in whatever you kind of put your mind to. So yeah, I can touch on it really quickly. So we actually just opened the clinic not too long ago. It is a community health education clinic. So we have those in the community that can come and actually get different biometric screenings, such as height, weight, blood pressure. They can get their A1Cs checked and their cholesterol. And so it's not a sick clinic. So you can't come if you're sick and, get medicine and all that, but you can come if, you just need to make sure you need to get your sugar checked regularly, or if you need to make sure that your cholesterol is at a good place, or, if you feel like your blood pressure is kind of going up and down, to kind of come. And what our students are doing is they're learning how to draw blood. And then they're also learning how to actually educate those members that come in. So the biggest piece that I like to teach my kids too is it's not just a matter of, okay, here's this pamphlet with this information. Now have a great day. It's, hey, here's this pamphlet. This is how you can help yourself. This is how you get better. A lot of the times, and we always have to focus on the African American community because it's so important, because we just have these habits that have just been passed down from generation to generation, with diabetes, high blood pressure, and all of that. And a lot of it has to do with the different foods that we eat. And so when you can teach someone to do better, they then know how to help themselves and how to help other people so that they can break that cycle. So that's a big component is health literacy, and teaching the kids how to talk to someone to be able to get them to be able to help themselves and understand, what it is that they have going on with their bodies.
I am a physical therapist. I did get on actually with my PT sister on there, so I'm happy about that. As she stated, it is such an honor to be a physical therapist. It's something that I talk to my patients about every day. Of course, most people ask what made you want to become a physical therapist, and so I had so many family members who needed it at the same time. Unlike so many people, I did know what physical therapy was before entering college, simply because some of my family members needed it when I was younger. And two of them being grandparents and one being an uncle. And I actually look back, and you know how your parents give you a book to keep up with everything when you're younger. So in the 7th grade, when it asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, I put that. And I am a firm believer in God, and I'm a firm believer in faith. And I felt like it was definitely ordained for me to become a physical therapist. As Ms. Rhonda said, it's definitely not the easiest program, but it is something that you can do. You can get through it, because when you look around, it does appear that we are the minority in physical therapy, in the field, which is what pushed me even more to become a physical therapist. I just love being able to impact people's life in a positive way, in and outside of the clinic. And I am an outpatient orthopedic clinician, but we see a variation of disabilities, injuries, surgeries, those kind of things. And so I really enjoy it. I have a doctorate degree, so I did 4 years at Armstrong with Kimberly. So I met her there actually, and I did my 3 years. This is just a God thing. I wanted to do my 3 years of physical therapy school at Armstrong, but it wasn't meant to be. So I actually ended up going to what's now Augusta University. I like to call it the former Medical College of Georgia. And I did my 3 years there. I graduated in 2016 with my doctoral degree. And so I want to encourage you, just as Ms. Rhonda did, that as hard as it may be, you definitely, if you have a desire to do this, it's something that you can do. It's something, though, that does take a lot of work, and it will teach you a lot of discipline, but it's so rewarding in the end. My dad has always taught me that if I'm faithful to God, then he'll be faithful to me. And so I don't know what everybody's religious beliefs are, but I just came to encourage everyone watching that, as Ms. Rhonda, I came from a small town. I was actually a first-generation graduate of any university. And I knew that there was something that I needed to do to impact not only myself, but my family. And every day I walk into the clinic, I know that God is using me to impact other people, whether it be through hands-on physical therapy or post-surgical care. Those kind of things is what, God has really led me to do. I enjoy it. I'm an advocate for physical therapy. I just can't say really I think a question popped up, but I can't really read it right now.
The question is, what are the values and limitations of being a physical therapist?
Okay. The values, of course, are just being able, and Miss Rhonda, you can chip in too. For me, it's just being an impact to everyone who I meet. Just knowing that, like you said, at the end of the day, you will have, and it's not about the money at all. It's really not. It's but that is a part of it that we enjoy. So it does allow you to have a good life, be able to take care of not only yourself but those who you love as well, and you're going to be comfortable in it. Like she said, the values definitely are that you can do different things, you can work in different settings, and you can always change. Like it's a never ending job, and it's always changing. So you won't get bored unless you allow yourself to get bored in that field. To me, the limitations where I work, outpatient orthopedic is usually faster pace, and you usually get so many more patients per day. And I like it because where I work with, the company I work with, they don't overload me. I have heard of physical therapy friends where they've just been burnt out and they've had to change jobs because of that. The outpatient clinic, of course, is for those who can get out in the community or have someone to bring them. And it's usually a progression from home health. But I have worked also in a SNF, so a senior nursing facility, nursing home, better yet. And I did that for about 6 months. I couldn't do it at the same time as outpatient orthopedic. That was so hard for me. I was actually living with my grandmother at the time, which made it easier because she lived not far from the facility. But when I moved closer to my full-time job, it was just so hard for me to do. So the limitations from my aspect as an outpatient orthopedic physical therapist is the paperwork that we have to do. And you have to make sure you get it done supposedly every day at the end of the day. But that's one thing. Also, I'm going to hit this. I don't know if anybody else did, but financial aid, student loans. I mean, it is a lot of loan repayment if you allow it to be. I am grateful I was able to stay at home for at least 2 of the years. The other ones I didn't because I was in clinicals, but that helped me out a lot. So I guess, and I've had this conversation with so many therapists that a lot of times we don't see that the benefit, like even some other professions where we can't get student loan repayment unless we're in a specific area, and I'm in a rural area, but it doesn't follow all the rules for me to get loan repayment. So to me, the student loan debt is also something that is that can be something to look at as well as a negative, as a con. But to me, the pros outweigh the cons. The values of it all is just being able to change lives, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that.
That very well, very well. The impact on a person's life is really, that's really the values, and there are not many limitations. I think she stated, Ms. Grant stated the limitations. It's challenging when you are applying to schools. So you will need to apply to a lot of different schools. And I think probably Dr. Magwood would agree with that. You just can't put all your eggs in one basket and say, I want to go to Armstrong. I don't want to go anywhere but there, or the Georgia Southern Armstrong campus. You have to apply everywhere in South Georgia, out of state, everywhere. And there are online programs. You can't limit yourself. You have to be flexible as to where you want to go and what you would like to do, and be ready to accept no. Right. If you don't get accepted the first time. But if it's what you really want to do, keep trying, because someone will open that door and they will say yes. And as Ms. Grant said, if it's for you, if God wants it for you, it may not be when you want it. And I too had to apply 2 times. And one was the Medical College of Georgia. And I got accepted at Georgia State. The first time, second time I was accepted everywhere. First time, not anywhere. But at that particular time, I had a mentor, and it's good to make connections with persons because other minorities in the field can help you with resources and contacts, and there's programs that can simulate. At that particular time, there was a program that simulated PT school. It was a 6-week, 8-week program. We took the rigorous classes to expose us to the anatomy, the physiology, the neuroanatomy, and all of this in a short period of time. So we had to demonstrate to the schools that we were able to handle the curriculum. So a lot of those programs for minorities, of course, have been cut out, but look for those type of opportunities because they can be helpful to you. And just know that you're not going to have a lot of Black people in your class. It may be 1 or 2.
Exactly.
4 or 5. So it's always good to have a friend in the other persuasion, you know, to latch on to and work with, and that you can trust, because it's difficult. So just know that it's challenging, but as Ms. Grant stated, it's very much worth it.
Yes. Our last list for today is Darryl Hardamon, and Darryl Hardamon is practice manager.
Good evening to everyone. How is everybody doing tonight?
All right.
Good. Hi.
Oh, hey. So first of all, where's the brothers at? I want to know where the brothers at, huh?
There you go.
Well, my story is very long, but I'll make it very brief. I had no plans to be in the healthcare at all. I am a native of New York City, Queens, New York City, and I now reside in Birmingham, Alabama now. Give you a little background about myself. I am a product of a single mother's home. I have 3 sisters. I'm the only son, the only male in the house. And healthcare was the last thing on my mind. As a matter of fact, having a career was the last thing on my mind because I was just trying to survive and not be in jail. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, you know what I mean? And so make a long story short, I graduated in high school in '99, and my goal was to go to culinary school because I was cooking in high school for 2 years, and I thought that I would go to culinary, and I had some visits set up for some possible scholarships, but unfortunately, at that time in my life, I was not focused at all about anything but having fun and partying and everything that you could think of. So make a long story short, I got into healthcare because I moved out my mother's house at 18. I was ready to be grown and be a man. And so after a few years, I realized I need health insurance. And so I got a job at the hospital in the kitchen, washing pots and pans. But I tell you guys, I was the best pots and pans washer they ever had.
Right.
Okay. Right. And so it was during that time also, at working at the hospital, that I had committed my life to Christ, and a big change took place in my life. And so I began to get refocused and really want to be a successful citizen in this country and everything. And so from that position at a pot and pan washer in the hospital, that's been 17 years ago. I have not filled out a job application since then. I've been promoted by word of mouth people that I've known. And so I went back to school to get my degree when I was 30 years old. I'm 39 years old right now. So I got my bachelor's at 30 years old in business management. Make a long story short, after being in the kitchen washing pots and pans, I then moved upstairs to a restaurant, and from there, people would notice my work ethic and how I worked hard. I multitask, and I started working in home health. I started learning a lot about respiratory, and just I enjoy going out, meeting people, and helping people. And so I kind of made my mind up I was going to enroll in respiratory therapy school. And so I got things set up, and one night I came home and my wife gave me a surprise, said, "Baby, I'm pregnant." I said, "Oh, really?" And so right then and there, I said, "I need some more money," because I had to provide for my wife and my soon-to-be daughter. And so, unfortunately, I put school on hold, and I went to provider mode. I wanted to take care of my wife and my daughter, and I started working 2 jobs in the hospital. Make a long story short, from there, I went on to general surgery. And then from there, I always knew I was a natural born leader, but being a young black man, I'll be honest, being a young black man, if you don't have a good support system, sometimes you don't believe in yourself and what you can do, and you believe in what society said you can be and can do. And so I didn't have a lot of encouragement. I didn't have a lot of faith in my own self. But make a long story short, I do believe that God will ordain your footsteps, and I start meeting the right people to connect me and to help me. And so from there, I went to general surgery. I went back to school, got my degree, and then I worked in cardiology for 7.5 years. And now currently, I am a clinic manager, practice manager of gastroenterology here in Birmingham, Alabama. And so I am on the business side as well as the patient care side, as well as taking care of my employees. And so I do a lot of things. I am the only black man, black leader in my company, and we are in 4 states. And as you can imagine, there are several things that I encounter being a young, successful black man. I encounter a lot, but one thing that I will never do is compromise my integrity.
Amen.
Like and people say, y'all, there's money out there, but all money ain't good money. And the thing about it is that, I do work hard for my money. I love what I do. I enjoy taking care of patients. I enjoy giving back to people. Aside from being a practice manager, I am also a licensed minister. So I do preach, I teach, I counsel. I coach my daughter's sports. So I'm a very busy man, but I do love the healthcare. But I'll be honest with you guys, sometimes in the management field of healthcare, there's a lot of politics, and you find out how greedy people can be, and they don't really care about. I can remember growing up, my pediatrician knew my whole family, and she was considered family to us. You know what I mean? But today, there's a lot of people who get into the healthcare for the money, but they don't have the passion, nor they have the care for people. And that's one thing that hurts my heart when I see nurse practitioners and physicians that get in the field for the salary, but they don't have the care for the patients and the people and the well-being. And so, again, I believe in integrity. I believe in not compromising, and I believe in that doing the right thing will get you where you need to be in life. And I can go on and on and on. I have so much to say about life and about what I do, but I will stop at that right now, you all.
Wow.
Oh, awesome.
That's powerful.
You have a question, Mr. Campbell?
Okay, Michael, he has a question. Michael Henderson. He says, as a practice manager, what advice would you give someone with a BA in healthcare administration? So I think that's what you
there. Wow. I would say learn. Let me think how I want to present this. Healthcare management can become very stressful. You have to love what you do. And I would say, talk to some people. You can reach out to me if you want to, and ask questions about it. Because there's many different broad fields within healthcare management, and so I would say get more information, and also, I would just say get as much information you can about it. You know what I mean? And again, I'm more than willing to help you. If you want to talk more about it, ask some questions, let me know. But I would say gain as much information and insight as you can about it, because as we've experienced with this COVID-19 right now, Anybody can have a degree and a title, but there's not a lot of real leaders.
Mhm.
And so again, I would say gain as much information, ask as many questions as you can about it, because again, there's a lot to the healthcare management than some people may know about it. So
Like to transition in, you guys have heard about their educational backgrounds, you know what they're doing today, but I know that there are several of you on the call today who have multiple talents. You are good at doing more than one thing, and you've heard in some of their careers gone in multiple pathways. But in addition to the things we've already heard from our participants, many of them are very active in other areas of their life. So we'd like to start with Miss Donna Williams. If you can tell us about the nonprofit that you are managing.
Yes, thank you. The nonprofit that I am executive director of is called S2S Facts. And S2S Facts is really for ladies. So ladies from 10 years of age all the way up to however old God blesses us to become. And it's really on the premise of sisterhood and uniting us with so much negativity that goes on around social media, reality TV, where individuals see the bickering and the fighting back and forth, and then they fly off to Paris and, you know, they sing Kumbaya. That's not reality.
Yes.
It's just not. I've been in corporate America for over 20 years, and actually saw I had to break up a fight. They didn't get physical yet, but it was lots of bad words in the workplace in front of our associates between a vice president of operations and a clinical director of HCMS. And because they couldn't resolve their conflict, one of them was a Caucasian lady and the other was Latino. I've been working with underserved individuals for years. And I often hear, especially when I'm in these board meetings, they say, oh, the poor Black and brown, you know, people, you know, they're the ones that they don't know any better pretty much, and they're doing this and they're doing that. But it's not just us. It's a lot of us as women that can do things a little differently. So that's how S2S kind of evolved. And now we're not a political organization, we're not a religious organization, but I am a believer. So that's one thing I always tell at every meeting. I tell people, because they're going to hear me say, Lord, I just thank you, because it was because of God that this was birthed. Because I'm an author, so I wrote a book. I had my first child at 16 years of age. And it was hard, especially for me as a dark-skinned, big-eyed young lady who thought that she was ugly all of her life because that's all she heard coming up. It's no wonder I became a teenage mom. So I was actually looking to promote my book, and God just laid it on my heart and put this nonprofit, and I put it together really within a couple of weeks. Filed all of my paperwork. We are a 501(c)(3) nonprofit as well. So what we do when we meet, we actually separate in age-appropriate groups. So we have from 10 to 13, and then 14 to 18, and then we have the 19-year-olds and the adults. And we have real live conversations that affect us all, women, depression, suicide, the fact that men in the same industry typically make more money than women do. And in Georgia, about 20% more money doing the same exact jobs. Children, spouses. So we talk about real live issues that affect every woman, how to deal with conflict. And every time we meet, we're talking about self-compassion. Because you, as my friend, if something happens to you, or if you're feeling bad or what have you, I am quick to come to your rescue and say, it's going to be okay, Felicia. Don't worry about it. You didn't make it that time, but you're going to make it the next time. But me, I am hard on myself. If I fail, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't believe this happened. And some of us internalize that until that's where we start not believing in ourselves and have depression and things of that nature. So we're always talking about self-compassion. So we do that. That's our wrap sessions. Then we come back together as a group, and that's what we call the GAB sessions. And these are always a no judgment zone, like Vegas. What's said there stays there. So we come back together and we talk about these issues amongst one another. So we're hearing from the young people what they're having to say, the things that they're going through, and then they're hearing our perspective. So for example, one session when we were talking about toxic friendships and relationships, and this 55-year-old lady was telling us about her real life issue in her workplace with mean girl syndrome. Wow. And we had one of the younger girls say, wow, I didn't know old people go through that too. And then it was funny, but the reality is they really didn't know, because I'm guilty of it, or was guilty. We've done some things, been through some things as younger individuals that we try to shelter our children from. And in doing that, they may be going through some of the same things, but they think that we can't relate because now we're so accomplished and we're so, there now. So it's a disconnect. So that's kind of what we do, sharing, making sure that we understand how to deal with conflict. And then we go out and do community service projects. So we meet every other month, and then the month we're not meeting, we're out together volunteering somewhere. And it's amazing that some ladies and definitely kids have never given back or volunteered. They don't know the impact of helping someone else. And we also have a teen advisory board. So we're actually getting ready to start up looking for our new set of teams, because I have some seniors that are graduating. So we have a teen advisory board, and they actually help facilitate the sessions. So they're getting some mentorship. They're learning how to run board meetings and business meetings and parliamentary procedures and things of that nature as well. So that's what S2S is all about, the premise of it. And since COVID-19, we've actually added some programs. One is honoring our 2020 graduates. So every day we actually honor a different high school graduate, a resilient high school graduate, every day of the week. And then on Fridays, we pick randomly a graduate, and then we give them a $50 Amazon card, and then they're recognized. And we have a partnership with Cumulus, who actually helps us promote and get out there as well. And then we're going to be launching our Senior Citizen Necessity Pantry in June, really delivering the necessities, adult diapers, Polygrip, Epsom salt, stuff like that, that senior citizens, those who are underserved, they don't need to be out, but they're going to run out of those things or what have you. So we'll be delivering those twice a month to those individuals. So that's what S2S is about, really about building each other up as women and understanding that it's okay for me to disagree with you, yes, but we can do it respectfully. Yes. We can do it respectfully. Awesome. So that's what S2S is about.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Would like to share some of the other things that you are involved in outside of your profession?
Lisa,
yes,
may I say something about the healthcare field? Because I think I may be the only one that's not clinical anymore. Although I started off clinical, and that's what I want to say. I think someone said, I'm not sure if it was Dr. Magwood or not, but one thing I would want to tell the young people, please make sure that you do find or try to find some type of internship, externship, or volunteer first, because you will take a lot of unnecessary wasted time and money if you understand what you want to do or if that's the right thing for you. Because I too thought I was going to be a registered nurse, and that's what I was working at the hospital at Memorial. I've worked at Azalea Land Nursing Home. I've worked at rehab nursing home and all of that stuff, doing the Hoyer lifts and all that. But until I got to Memorial and was there, and a young lady died, and I couldn't handle it. I used to cry so much, the doctors used to think that I was a part of the family. So I changed my major really because of that. And I couldn't enunciate all of those terms. My hats are off to you physical therapists and you nurses. I couldn't enunciate all those terms. So I went on to business there, but I always loved helping people. So I went to business, and that's how I got to be doing the things I'm doing now in marketing or what have you. And I'm still able, again, to give back and support others, but in a different aspect of healthcare. So one thing I will say, like I said, please make sure that you guys try to get an internship, an externship, volunteer. I'm not sure if the hospitals do the candy stripers anymore or what have you. No, they don't do that?
No, I tried in my community. HIPAA is a whole nother.
HIPAA changed the game, right? HIPAA changed the game. But there are some things, even maybe, again, Miss Felicia or one of the individuals that's on the phone, you could ask them some questions, or they can give you some real life issues. But make sure you try to do something and get into some type of volunteer program or what have you, to make sure that's what you want to do. That'll save you some time.
Yeah.